What would you do if you had flight benefits for life? Where do you think you would go? Would you use and abuse them or just go somewhere once or twice a year? Hey guys, it's Erica from America, your favorite flight attendant, and that today is one of the questions that I'm going to be talking about, getting flight benefits for life and how to do it. Also, by the way, guys, Happy New Year. Welcome to my second Q&A, and since this is Q&A, I have a question for you. What is your New Year's goal this year? I don't know about you, but my goal this year is to freaking take my body back because my body can't seem to decide if it's going through menopause or not, and so it's making me miserable, and I'm done. How about you? What's your New Year's goal? Let me know in the comments below. I would really love to hear what you guys are doing, how you're doing it. My goal is not only to lose weight, but to actually drink more water. So I'm working on the plan for that. How about you? Do you have a plan in place? Anyway, having asked that question, you guys have asked me some questions this week in my Travel Tuesday video, and I'm going to get around to answering them. One of the questions was not actually in my Travel Tuesday video. It was in a different video that I did that came in this week, but it's a question that I've been waiting for somebody to ask me, and its answer is the one thing that could get you flight benefits for life. So let's go ahead and jump into this with the first couple of questions. Okay, so I'm going to kick this off by starting off with the questions that I don't have answers for, just because I want you to know that I am going to try to find the answer for you. I'm acknowledging your question. I'm not ignoring you. And I'm going to start with this one here. It says, please advise of a portable battery pack a sleep apnea user can bring on a plane to use with a ResMed AirSense 10. I don't know anything about CPAPs. I do see them come on the plane a lot because they come in a very distinctive gray bag. As far as I know, the batteries that come with it are acceptable to take on a plane. The only restrictions we have about batteries when it comes to any kind of device you travel with is that the batteries must come into the cabin with you. And the reason for that is because we don't want to worry about them catching fire in the hold and then we can't really get to it. And sometimes lithium batteries catch on fire. So any kind of battery you have, you must be able to bring it into the airplane. And that generally also includes like wheelchair batteries. We literally will make somebody with a wheelchair that has a battery attached to it. We will make them detach the battery and bring it into the plane and stow it under their seat, which is usually where the CPAP also goes. I see most people put the CPAP under their seats, although people do also put them in the overhead as well. So as far as I know, whatever battery pack that came with your portable sleep apnea machine should be fine on the plane. But I will ask around and I will verify that again very soon for you. The other thing I want to mention, if you do have a sleep apnea machine, is I highly recommend you put something on the bag that's super bright color, whether it's stickers or patches, or you just change the bag completely, because it is usually a gray bag that it comes in. And I once had a passenger who left that gray bag under their seat and got off the plane and just completely forgot about it. Flight attendants, we're supposed to go through the cabin after everybody gets off the plane and look for stuff that people left behind. And I happened to notice it. I almost didn't notice it because it blended in with the carpet. And when I saw what it was, I was lucky enough to be able to pull up that passenger's name on my manifest because I hadn't closed my manifest out yet. I was able to ask the gate agent where that passenger was going to next. She was able to tell me, and then I took the CPAP and I ran across the airport to find that passenger and I gave it to him. And he was shocked that he had forgotten it. So do yourself a favor if you are going to travel with one, change the color of the bag or put something super bright on it that will make it pop against the carpet because you'll most likely have it under your seat. If you do put it in the overhead bin, sometimes they slide back farther where you can't really see. So that's why a lot of people put it under their seat, especially on the bigger planes. The second one, I heard that in 2025, neck pillows are supposed to be consolidated into carry-on and or a personal item. Is this not true? And I think she meant 2026. I have not heard that, but I will ask around because as far as I know, that's not the case yet. But I'll ask the gate agents when I'm at work in the next couple days, and I will hopefully get you guys an answer to those questions by next week. Although I'm only working for 2 days and then I'm off for a week, so it might be 2 weeks until I'm able to answer you guys. But as far as I know right now, I've heard no chatter about that not being allowed. Next question. Erica, before my next flight, I was planning to make a goodie bag with a coffee card, a few other things to give the flight attendants as a thank you. In general, what would flight attendants like to receive? Thank you. Basically, if you wanna give a gift card that's a coffee card, Starbucks is fantastic because there's a Starbucks in almost every airport across the country, and Starbucks not only sells coffee, but they also sell food. So, that would be fantastic. People love that. A lot of times candy goes over really well. If you're gonna do cookies or candy, make sure they're prepackaged, not homemade. I know it's tempting to get something that's homemade, but it's like Halloween. You wouldn't want your kids to eat cookies that were made by your neighbors because you don't really know those neighbors. They'll smile and they'll take it and they'll thank you for them kindly, but they probably won't touch it. So things like donuts and fresh baked goods from stores, they often don't get eaten. Most of the time, if somebody were to hand me like a baggie full of home baked cookies, we wouldn't normally eat them just for safety's sake. And if we did give them to the pilots, they probably wouldn't eat them until after they were done flying, again for safety's sake. I don't know if there's any regulation for them on that. But a coffee card is fantastic. I usually say chocolate is a great one, and I usually say Skittles or Starburst. And what I would recommend is don't forget your gate agents too, because really the gate agents have the hardest job in the airport. What I usually like to do for the holidays is I will grab a basket and I'll throw a bunch of little treats into it for Christmas and for Halloween and stuff. I'll throw like different types of kisses, which are fun, but I'll throw in Skittles and Starburst for the people that don't like chocolate because there's surprisingly a lot of people who don't like chocolate. I don't understand it at all, but apparently they don't. This time of year, because it's winter, another really good thing that you could offer is some of those magic gloves. Now, flight attendants will generally take their gloves with them, but every now and then we lose them. And the gate agents, especially, might appreciate it if you were to come up with a little basket full of goodies and say you've got gloves in there too, the magic gloves, which aren't very expensive, and just be like, hey, I wanted to thank you for what you're doing. Do you want a treat or two? And let them pick out what they like from a basket instead of making little gift bags. Another thing that a lot of flight attendants like are magazines. So if you have a magazine that you brought from home, you can black out your address on the back of it. And when you're done reading it, just see if the flight attendant would like it. Because we see these magazines in the Hudson's News all across the country, and we think, ooh, that looks really interesting. I really want to read that. But there are so many of those magazines that we see, and now they're like $10 a piece. So we wouldn't buy them. But when people leave them behind on the plane, sometimes we snag them. And you'd be amazed how many people will just throw the magazines away without even asking us if we like it or if we'd want it. So just offering your used magazines is something that flight attendant would appreciate because if you think about it, we're sitting in the plane for a really long time, not really doing anything. That's what I would suggest for a goodie bag. What is one of your favorite destinations you flew to for work? This is a strange question to ask a flight attendant because every single place we go to, we've been to so many times before. And each time we go, we might have a different experience, sometimes good, sometimes bad. We spend a lot of time in the hotel or nearby the hotel. Our favorite thing about different destinations comes down to what's the hotel, what's the food nearby, is there anything to do if you happen to be there for a long time? Because we're at these different destinations for different lengths of time. One of my favorite places to go, I haven't really explored the city. I like it because of the hotel. So my favorite hotel out of all the places I've been is the Element by Westin, and this is a chain. What I love about this place is that the breakfasts are very healthy. They usually do things for breakfast like omelets, they do avocado toast, they have a parfait bar, like a yogurt parfait bar. They have this pantry and it's all healthy food. That's very rare in hotel chains. So would say that if you were going to go somewhere, if you go to an Element, the food, for one thing, makes it worthwhile. The rooms are also fantastic. A lot of the rooms are like little apartments. But what I love about the place really is this right here, a refreshing dip in our all natural saline pool. And it's not just the saline pool, they have a great fitness center, but they usually have a saline hot tub too. I love this place because I love hot tubs. I'm obsessed with hot tubs. But to get to go into a hot tub that's a saltwater hot tub and to get to go into a pool, it's a saltwater pool and it's indoors and it's heated is my favorite thing. So my favorite hotel is the Element. And honestly, the one Element that we go to is in the middle of nowhere. I can't tell you the city for the safety of the crew that goes and stays there. If I tell you both the hotel and the city, then I put the crew at risk. We're always looking out for terrorists and stuff. But the Element is one of my favorites. Now, as far as food goes, one of my favorite places that I've ever eaten is the Home Burger Bar in Appleton, Wisconsin. And this place has the most amazing burgers. Let me show you the menu here real quick. My favorite is this crab goon one. Homemade crab ragoon dip, scallions, wonton strips, sweet and spicy sauce, like chipotle sauce, in the burger. Not on the side of the burger, in the burger. And I have been all over the world, without a doubt. This is the best burger I've ever had in my life was the Crab Goon burger from Home Burger Bar. So, whenever I get to go to Appleton, Wisconsin, that's one of my favorites. When it comes to things to do, Moline is one of those places that we do an overnight. And if you go at the right time of year, they have a really cool farmer's market kind of thing. All these food trucks would come with the farmer's market and you could cruise around and it's right by the river. But what I really love about Moline is actually across the river, this Palmer College of Chiropractic in Davenport, which sounds absolutely insane. Why would I like a college of chiropractic? So this comes down to a story one time. A lot of times the trips you go on isn't so much about the places you go, but the people that go with you. There was one time that I flew into Moline and it was just me and two pilots. The first officer had retired as a chiropractor and he went to the Palmer College of Chiropractic. And it turns out that the Palmer College of Chiropractic was actually created by the inventor of chiropractic. So this is the guy that invented chiropractic and he created that school. My first officer had gone to that school. He got us to just walk into the school. And the story about this guy was really interesting. There was a children's book in the gift shop at the college that I took some time to read. And basically, what it came down to was that he had created this method of chiropractic. And you can look him up on Wikipedia. But the story went that basically one day he was talking to, I think it was a janitor who was deaf. This is literally from my memory. I'm not reading it right now. This janitor said to Palmer, I have been deaf my whole life. And Dr. Palmer said, will you let me try? And he said, okay. And so Palmer adjusted him, and whatever he adjusted ended up clearing out his ear canals, and he was able to hear. And after that, he went out and just started telling people, I can hear, I can hear. And people were like, oh my gosh, like, what miracle doctor is this? So they started tracking Dr. Palmer down. And as a result, his practice started to really flourish. And then one day, he almost gets hit by a car. He gets a little freaked out and he thinks, oh no, I can't die and have this technique that I created go with me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and start a school. And I'm going to start teaching my methods to people that want to learn. And so he opened this school, the Palmer College of Chiropractic, which we got to go into. And it's so cool because they have all these crazy skeletons in there that he had collected and other people had collected. But the story continues. And the reason that this was one of my favorites was because of this right here, the Palmer family residence, which is right next door. This is basically a house full of the most interesting curiosities. I don't know about you. I love bizarre things. I love things with a story. The way the story continued on was that his son, BJ Palmer, basically inherited the business. The story about BJ Palmer, from what I understand, was that he was the one to carry on the business for his father. He was really into radio. He talked his dad into advertising on radio. And as a result, the school started to get more and more popular. He got married. They had one child. And what he did was he liked to travel. So he would travel all over the world and he would collect these weird things from all over the world, including chess sets and especially ivory chess sets, which you kind of judge him for that because he was actually buying them made out of elephant tusks. But he got this reputation for liking strange things that he would collect from his travels, and the students started to bring him stuff. So if you were to go to this little place next door, which is this like old Victorian house on the ground floor, is not only all of this really weird stuff that you can see, but there's also pieces that have come from all over the world to be in that house. Pictures of stuff, but some of the stuff is like really trippy. And it's just so much fun to wander around. The museum is only on the first floor. There's also this little nook in there that has a wall with just funny sayings. And as you can tell, I love funny sayings. And apparently this guy did too. So it's like a kindred spirit. One of the cool things, though, was, like, this room right here is, like, the sunroom, and he has this amazingly large organ, and he built it into the house, and he basically created his own sound system long before that was even really a thing, and so it's just a super cool house. If you ever get a chance to go to Davenport, Iowa, Moline, Illinois, like the Quad Cities, pop over, check this out. Also, just down the street from it is a little place called Café de Marie. The very first time I went to Moline, we were in a different hotel that was close enough to the Café de Marie that when I looked up a good place to have breakfast, it popped up. I was reading the reviews about it, and basically, they have this blueberry goat cheese quiche, which sounds totally crazy, but it was so delicious. If you're ever in that area, you want to check that out too. They not only have blueberry goat cheese quiche, they also have tart cherry goat cheese quiche, which was really good. And also their blueberry dressing is amazing. It's literally a house. As you can see, this is what it looks like here. And this is the sign right here. It's like a flag they put up over the balcony. I missed it the first time I went there. They don't usually open till 10 a.m. and then they close at 2. But double check that because I think the hours might change. And basically, when they sell out, they sell out. And then that's it. That's probably one of my favorite places, but there are a ton of other places I love. Like I love Columbia, Missouri's overnight because they have the gigantic bathtubs. I love the Buffalo, New York overnight because not only is our hotel absolutely bonkers with so many different themes, but it's right around the corner from where the buffalo wings are made. Or at least that used to be our hotel. We've moved now. But it's around the corner from where the buffalo wings were invented. I always thought buffalo wings came from buffaloes, but it turns out no, it came out from Buffalo, New York. I can tell you more about others, but I want to go on to the last question. So this person asked me, speaking of another career, what physical limitations are required for the job? Do they hire anyone with mobility issues? Not quite seniors, but pushing retirement age. You really intrigue me. I have been waiting for somebody to ask me this question. This question wasn't actually asked on the Travel Tuesday video, but it was asked this week, and I really wanted to answer it. I wanted to talk to you about flight benefits for life, and I want to show you what that can mean by showing you this short that I saw this week. You're not going to believe this.
This man cost an airline $21 million with a single ticket. He flew to London just to watch a movie, then to Paris for lunch, then to Ontario just to grab a sandwich from his favorite restaurant, and returned home the same night. Who lives like this? Meet Stephen Rothstein. Back in 1987, American Airlines offered a lifetime unlimited first-class flight pass for a one-time fee, $250,000. Fly anywhere, anytime, as many times as you want, forever. Stephen bought it, and what happened next is something the airline never expected. He started flying everywhere, for meetings, for fun, for no reason at all. He treated air travel like a bus ride, flying multiple times a day for minor things. If he gets bored on weekends, he hops on a flight to Tokyo. Can't find something at a local store? He might literally fly to another country just to buy it. He didn't just fly, he literally started living on planes. 2 years later, he added a $150,000 companion pass so he could bring anyone, anywhere, anytime. He would book flights just to give the companion seat to strangers or send his friends to sports games. In total, he took over 10,000 flights, costing the airline more than $21 million in travel. He became so famous that airport staff greeted him by name. Gate agents would literally upgrade other passengers because Stephen wanted company. Eventually, American Airlines realized they had made a massive mistake, so in 2008, they canceled his pass, accusing him of fraud and misuse. Stephen sued the airline, and the story became an aviation legend. American Airlines eventually shut the whole program down in March 2024. To Stephen Rothstein, it was the greatest deal ever made. To American Airlines, probably the most expensive ticket ever sold. So tell me, if you had this pass, what's the first place you'd go?
How crazy is that? But then think about it again. If you could get flight benefits for life, what would you do with them? So, Kel Ariano, I hope I said that right. She wants to know, what's the physical limitations for the job? Do they hire people pushing retirement age? And I am going to tell you a story that is so crazy, you're going to think I'm nuts. You want to know what I think the perfect age is to start as a flight attendant? The perfect age, in my opinion, to start as a flight attendant is 45. That doesn't mean that you have to be 45 or younger to work as a flight attendant. There is a formula that the airlines have, and I can definitely say it's with my airline. My airline pretty much gets it from our mainline airline. The regionals all do what the mainline airlines do. We get the same benefits that the mainline do when it comes to flight benefits. We just have different status. And that's confusing. I'll try to clear that up in just a minute, but stick with me. What one airline does, all of the other airlines copy. The flight benefits means that we can fly on any of our partner airlines, which means the three mainline airlines, which is American, United, and Delta. I can fly on any of them. My airline only flies for one of those, whereas some of the other regionals will fly for all three, some will just fly for one. But we have certain status privileges, and I can ride on any of those airlines for free. I can also ride Southwest and Frontier and Hawaiian. They've made these partnerships that allow us to fly for free on those airlines as an airline employee. Now, the flight benefits also include a partner pass that I can give to anyone, whether it's my husband or if I want to give it to a sister or a girlfriend, whoever I wanted to give it to. I don't have to give it to my husband. That partner pass basically gives them the right to ride on my airline and my mainline airline, anybody who flies under my mainline colors for free. And any kids that I have under the age of 24 are also allowed to fly for free. My company also gives us 2 passes for parents where they pay the price of taxes. Now, generally, we all fly standby, which means we get the empty seats. But the thing is, we can see how many empty seats are on every single plane from our dashboard. And so we can pick the flights of where we need to go based on the seats. Those are what we call travel benefits, free flights. If we fly out of the country, we don't have to pay anything. We just have to pay to come back. Now, if we didn't want to fly standby, if we actually wanted a guaranteed seat, then there is a program, I want to say it's called Zed. I don't know if all the airlines call it Zed or not, but that lets us get a really big discount on a seat that we have for sure. That's ours. Like I mentioned last year, I flew round trip to Paris, and on the way back, I got upgraded to business. It was like first class on most planes. However, it wasn't the first class on that plane. That plane had pods for first class. That trip cost me $90 for the flights. It didn't cost me anything to go out, but it cost me $90 to come back in a business class seat. Now, the reason that I say that 45 is the perfect age to start is because there is a formula that the airlines have calculated. You have to work a minimum number of years at the airlines in order to get flight benefits for life. And that includes gate agents, the baggage handlers, flight attendants, and pilots. It does not include wheelchair pushers. It does not include catering. It does not include TSA. It is literally whoever wears the airline's colors. The formula at my company is you take 65 and you subtract the age that you start at. So whatever age you are now, subtract that age from 65 and divide that in half. That's the number of years you have to work at the airline to get flight benefits for life, or 10 years, whichever is higher. Now, if you were to do the math on that, 65 minus 45 is 20. 20 divided into 2 is 10 years. So at 45, you add 10 years to that, you retire at 55, and you still have flight benefits for the rest of your life. If you start at 20 years old, 65 minus 20 is 45. Divide that in half, that's 22 and a half years that you would have to fly in order to get flight benefits for life, which means you could retire at 42 and a half years old to have flight benefits for life. That's a really long time. If you started at 65, you would have to fly for 10 years to get flight benefits for life. Does that mean that they won't hire you if you're 65? No. There is no age limit to be a flight attendant or to work at the airlines. It's all about what you think you can do. The physical limitations were simply this when I started. You had to be between 5'2" and 5'9" at my airline. Every airline is different, and that was mostly so that you could fit within the height of the airplane. Since then, we've gotten bigger planes, so I don't know if that height restriction still exists. At the time when they hired me, the 145, if you were 5'9", your head was hitting the ceiling. I'm 5'6", so the 145 was a perfect plane for me. However, I have seen on the 737s women that are shorter than me, and then there's like sticks that they get to close the overhead bins. So every airline is different. The only other restriction is you have to be able to lift 50 pounds over your head. And that's basically the size of a suitcase. Now, do they make us put suitcases in the overhead bin? No, they do not. We are discouraged from doing that. I actually know a 27-year-old flight attendant who worked for a mainline flight, And she told me she was just coming back from dislocating her shoulder because she helped somebody put the bag in the overhead bin and her shoulder just went out. She was out for about 4 months recovering from that. That's why they tell us don't put the bags in the overhead bin for people. Let them do it. Only help if it's absolutely necessary. But if you can, try to grab some big, strong guy to put it in the overhead bin for you. Now, you're probably thinking, I don't know if I would fly that much if I had flight benefits for life. I literally once was on the 145 flying by myself, and we flew out to a little outstation that was only a half-hour flight. And I remember these two teenage boys got on the plane, and they sat in seats 3B and 3C, and we flew to Chicago. That day, I happened to have 4 flights, all back and forth to the same outstation. We were just about to head back to the same station when all of a sudden they came down and got on the plane again, and they sat in the same seats. And I was like, what are you guys doing back? They had flown to Chicago so that they could go to Reggio's in the airport, and they had grabbed little pizza boxes and were flying back. They had just come to Chicago to get pizza. And I was like, why would you do that? And they said, well, our dad's a pilot, so we have flight benefits. It's only a half-hour flight, and it's better than what we got in town, and we were bored, so why not? And I just thought, it's these kids that fly under their parents' benefits. Like, my oldest kid has flown to so many places without me. When I first became a flight attendant, my oldest was 14, and we flew my oldest and their best friend out to New York. And then they went from New York to D.C. before coming home. They caught a show in New York. They went and checked out the flowers in D.C. And I'm like, what have I done? So it's a lot of fun. Having said that, age limits. How old do you have to be? I honestly believe that if you're thinking about becoming a flight attendant after you've retired, regional is better than mainline. Because the mainline flights, you're looking at anywhere from 4 hours to 24 hours worth of flying. Regional flying, our flights are anywhere from 15 minutes to usually 4 hours max. Usually they cap out in the 2.5-hour range, which is totally doable. And you get to walk around, so it's fantastic. But check out this next story. Meet Bette Nash. I've heard her called Betty, even though it says Bette Nash. Bette Nash has the Guinness World Record of oldest flight attendant. And basically, she only passed away a couple years ago. When I started working as a flight attendant, she was still working as a flight attendant. Look at this. It says she worked from 1957 to 2024, and then she passed away. She was 88 when she basically stopped working at the airlines. She was the #1 flight attendant at American Airlines, and I remember reading an article about her about a year after I started. She was just getting her 60-year pin as a flight attendant. She was featured in this article about it. Okay, so there was one piece of gossip that I wanted to share that I heard about Bette Nash, and this is total hearsay. There's no proof that there's any truth to this whatsoever. But I'm telling you because I kind of thought it was a funny story, and it perfectly gives you the idea of what being a flight attendant is like, especially a flight attendant on mainline. One of the reasons I don't want to fly mainline is because when you fly with another flight attendant, it's like a 50-50 shot that you're going to like them. And when you only fly with one flight attendant, that's great. You can avoid that flight attendant. You just go to the other end of the plane and you hide from them. Otherwise, if you like the flight attendant, you spend the whole sequence chatting. But when you go mainline, you have anywhere from 4 to 5 flight attendants with you, on up to like, I've heard 16 or even 20 in some cases. And so on the bigger planes, it kind of becomes like high school. So keep that in mind. That's part one. The other thing to know about being a flight attendant or a pilot is that your position is based on status. You get a number, not only an employee number that ties to your paycheck, but you get a number of what number among all of the flight attendants that you're on. Just like pilots have a number of all the pilots that they're in with, right? So my number is somewhere in I'm in the top 600 flight attendants of my company. And we usually keep about 2,300 flight attendants. So my status is over about 1,700 flight attendants, which means I can take their flights if I want to. Anything I bid for, I get. The people above me, if they want something that I want, they get priority. It starts from number 1 and goes all the way down to the very last flight attendant who just got hired. Bette Nash was number 1 at American Airlines for a really long time. I don't know how long, but this one day I had an American Airlines mainline flight attendant on my plane and I was chatting with her And we happened to bring up Betty Nash. And she said, you know why she's still a flight attendant, don't you? And I said, no, why? I'm a new flight attendant. I'm like in a year. I'm totally curious about the gossip. And she says, the reason that she still hasn't retired after 60 years is because she doesn't like flight attendant number 2, the person that's directly below her. If she retires, flight attendant number 2 becomes flight attendant number 1. I thought that was hysterical and totally believable considering it's like high school on those planes. And that means flight attendant number 2 had probably been flying for around the same amount of time as Betty Nash, something around 60 years as well. I thought it was a total crack up. And I think like a year or two later, I was talking to another mainline flight attendant from American Airlines and happened to say that I'd heard this gossip. Was it true? She said, no, it totally wasn't true because number 2 had finally passed away and Betty Nash was still flying. That's why I say it's probably a total complete piece of crap as far as gossip goes, but I just thought it was really funny. And I just want to show you real quick down here, personal life and death. In 1973, she married James Nash and they had a son. At the time of her death, she lived in Manassas, Virginia. Nash entered hospice care after being diagnosed with breast cancer, but never officially retired. She died on May 17, 2024 at the age of 88 after working for 67 years. So if you're thinking about being a flight attendant, remember Betty Nash. When you first start out, you're on reserve, you're on call. You have 2 hours to show up at the airport. You know which days you're on call. You know which days you're off. Once you go through reserve, it's anywhere from a few months to possibly a year where you're on call. And then after that, you start getting your sequences. It's usually 5 sequences of 4 days each. And you can bid for what you want. You could swap and drop. You could bid for part-time and only pick up 2 sequences a month of 8 days. The flight benefits for life is not about how many hours you've flown. It's about how many years you've been at the company. So even if you were to become a flight attendant and then you were to start bidding part-time, you can still eventually earn flight benefits for life. And the question is, at that point, would you get $21 million worth of flights out of that company? Anyway, I'm going to end this here. I hope you guys like this Q&A. If you want to see more, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. Hit the like button to let me know that you liked it. Also, if you have any questions or comments, put them in the comments below, and I will try to make sure to answer them in upcoming Q&As. Thank you guys for watching. Ciao!